All right. Speaking about problems, let's finally move on to this big piece of news. Peter Thiel, co-founder of Palantir, it was a major Republican donor in 2020, backing Donald Trump, or sorry, 2016 and 2020, I think. And in 2024, he is not going to plan to donate to any political candidate in 2024. His big argument is that he is unhappy with cultural issues that Republicans are focusing on. He's been a lifelong Republican, talking about abortion, transgender issues, and not economic issues, which is kind of the core reason he supported Donald Trump, because he ran on an America First agenda. My question is the implication this has for Palantir. Palantir has been tainted over the past 7 years as the Trump backed billionaire, CIA, all this type of stuff. And, they just take the brand of Trump and they slap it onto Palantir. When we know, Palantir really is not in line with that kind of braggadocious, audacious type of brand. It's just a software company that's trying to help you understand your data a little bit better. Do we think this is good moving into the future of Palantir now that Thiel is not going to be politically active? And more importantly, do we think Thiel realized the stock is in the gutter if he is outwardly making speeches at the RNC for Trump, because the Republican candidate's probably going to be Trump, that it's not going to look good for Palantir trying to get some bigger contracts?
That's Chris, exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, unfortunately, the way that our politics is these days, there's more emphasis on words than there are on actual things that happen. So it's almost like the My Pillow guy, right? The My Pillow guy supported Donald Trump, and I don't know how many brands removed their pillows from their store shelves. You see, like, just because the My Pillow guy has a stupid opinion, you're gonna take the product, which is actually selling, off the market. Like, really? That's what you're doing? That's how this is where the world is today. Unfortunately, I don't like the fact that that's happening, but it is a fact. So right now, if you support a candidate, the opposite will come after you. So it's always better to just be politically neutral, in my opinion. So Thiel, I wish he had never gotten involved in the Trump side of things, where he was openly supportive of Trump. I think he could have done it in the background, and just, still had his political beliefs, sectioned off his core beliefs, and said, you know what, I can support Donald Trump, but I'm not going to make an outward presentation, so that now the company that I have a large ownership stake in is also demonized because of that. So I think that's true for all major companies right now. So everyone is trying to be as politically neutral in the front end. In the back end, they're like, here's an example of someone that did a really good job of supporting their people, but never really came to light. Ken Griffin. You guys know who Ken Griffin is with Citadel, right? Mm-hmm. He's a Republican mega donor. But does anyone ever say, you know what, let's stop using X, Y, and Z from Citadel? No, because they're just like, well, Ken Griffin is a Republican supporter, but he does it like in the back. The minute you step out there and you're in the limelight and you're in the picture with Donald Trump, best believe that there's going to be a negative reaction towards your company.
Chris, like I said, do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think Thiel was motivated to support Trump as a Palantir key person, or for personal interest? Like, how do you see the connection between what Peter Thiel does in politics and his figure on Palantir?
No, I mean, when you think about it, I maybe this is the one time Peter Thiel didn't think about the negative consequences that would come towards like his business interests, right? He thought maybe Donald Trump will have the rhetoric behind it, but there are key things that Donald Trump was saying that Peter Thiel probably agreed with, right? And so Peter Thiel, as an individual citizen, supported some of the messages that were coming from Trump. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. The problem is, the minute that you shake hands, every one of their opinions is what you hold in the face of people, right? So here's an example. I think, for me, like, let's say, just as an example, me, I am a Republican. Like, I don't know if that's a big secret, but I'm a Republican. But that doesn't mean that I think abortion should be banned. I think abortion should be available for people, especially if you get, you're in a situation where you have rape and medical problems and everything else. I think it should be a woman's choice whether they want to have an abortion. I think there should be some limits at the very end. Like, you can't be aborting a baby like a week before you're about to deliver. I think that's something that everyone can get behind. But if, let's say right now, me being a Republican saying saying, hey, I'm a Republican, everyone is automatically going to assume that I'm pro-life. That's it. Because that is how people perceive things. That's how it is. The minute you slap a label on you, they never ask the nuance question behind it anymore. They're just like, oh, you're a Democrat? You support defunding the police. Not every Democrat supports defunding the police. That's the dumbest. There are plenty of Democrats that have come out and said that is a stupid idea. We need to back the blue because we live in a crime-ridden city. We don't want to have that situation. But right now, the minute you say Democrat, automatically it's like, oh, this guy, he doesn't care about the cops. He doesn't care about that. And the same thing with the Republicans. Like the minute you say a Republican, oh, this guy must be pro-life. He's a white supremacist. Do I look like a white supremacist? And it's like that's where this is where politics is stupid these days. Where
so you think it was just a miscalculated personal bet? Because I was thinking of Thiel trying to get into politics as a way to actually open doors for Palantir. Because
I see your point, Arnie, but Palantir's been getting a ton of deals with the Biden administration, so I don't know if Trump got them more.
Yeah, but believe it or not, because the doors were already opened.
No, they've been getting deals since the Obama administration.
Dude, Obama administration was the one that gave them some of the most deals when during Iraq and Afghanistan. Like everyone thinks that, you know what, Peter Thiel needed to get into politics to sell Palantir. Complete opposite. The minute that was my point. The minute that Peter Thiel got in line with Donald Trump, New York City, which the NYPD uses, automatically was like, oh, this is an evil product. Then the border control. All those border control contracts, they weren't signed under Donald Trump with Palantir. They were done with Barack Obama. And that's
so actually a backlash.
Obama deported more people than Trump. Trump just, the whole cages stuff, like he did it in a stupid way, in a horrible way. But Obama's the one who deported more, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
like if you look at who did most of the drone strikes, like literally drone strikes across Afghanistan and Iraq, who was the one that authorized it? It was President Obama, right?
Yes.
But it's Trump that's the one that's baby killer. No one says that about Obama. So this is, once you have a narrative behind your specific brand, it's really hard to take that off. So right now, Donald Trump is uncaring. Donald Trump, doesn't care about immigrants. Donald Trump is X, Y, and Z. And no matter what Donald Trump does now, he's labeled as that guy. And you can't get that label out. Right now, he can literally open the border, let everyone through, and people still say, no, he hates immigrants.
And I think Thiel knows Trump has a really good shot of winning. Like, given Biden's running again, he's 80 years old, can barely talk. Unfortunately, I don't mean to be disparaging, but Trump has a good shot. And if Palantir is again connected with the Trump brand, it's just not good. I would be pretty upset as a shareholder. Like, I don't want that shit.
And do you think
want that.
Palantir will detach from it? Because as we said, once a label is stick to it, is very hard to detach.
I think when 70 million people in the NHS don't have backlogs anymore, yes, they're not going to give a shit about a Vice article from 2017.
But I was going to say, I think, how do I say this? It's all about, like you said, who's the article that put it out and what way do they lean, right? And I think, like you guys both mentioned, there's a lot of deals going on in the Biden administration. There's a lot of deals going on in the Obama administration. This company's been around since 2003. Like, it's not like it's just coming to light just based off of, being, in one of the founders was being in support of Trump back in, the 2016, well, I guess it wasn't 2016. Well, I guess it was. Yeah. So I think I don't know. I don't like this aspect of it. I mean, the media can portray however they want, right? Just like how UK is portraying that, Palantir is some sort of spy organization. They're going to give out all your data, right? I think it's just all whoever wants to portray because they have billions of dollars and they have control over people's minds. But anyway, I don't like the whole the political aspect of it. And I think, if you listen to Karp, I think you know which way he leans. And I don't think that the company is a Republican focused or a left leaning focused organization. They're an America first focused sort of organization. And I think it's all just based off of who in the media has most to gain by the failure of Palantir or the disruption of Palantir. And that's the way it's truly spun. And like you said, once that narrative kind of gets going, just like how they try to take down Elon, right? Just they all tried to take down Elon because he was buying Twitter. Why? Not because they actually care about, you know, Twitter or anything. They care about the voices that can then be now heard, and the secrets that are let out about the laptops that were, you know, kind of hidden, and what was going on at the CDC, and, you know, all these things that were been shielded because of the previous people that were one side focused or another, were truly disobeying people's First Amendment rights. Now, I'm okay with censorship in some aspects. Obviously, you don't want to talk about murdering babies, but at the end of the day, it's like we were hiding things from. And I think like sometimes I think these questions that some of these CEOs and stuff get are very what should we call it? Very like gotcha sort of questions. But at the end of the day, like I think from the Twitter, after the Twitter files kind of came out, they started interviewing some of the CEOs and some of the administration, the Biden administration and stuff like, and they were like, why were people that went to Harvard and Stanford and got doctorate degrees and are certified doctors being censored by people at Twitter who have literally zero medical experience or anything of the like, right? And that's the sort of world that we can live in if we don't have people like Palantir fighting for our freedom. We don't have people like, you know, anyway. So I think that you have great companies like Palantir that don't try to fight going left or going right. And that's why part of the reason why they left Silicon Valley. But we talked about that, you know, a couple episodes ago. But I think it's very prominent. And I don't like the whole, you know, trying to get into discussion of politics, because at the end of the day, like I'll talk about geopolitical, but internal, like
the problem is politics is linked with Palantir. That's the issue, right? It's heavily linked.
But I think that that's the billionaires' decision. I don't. If Palantir had their way, I think that they would just look America focused, and they wouldn't really lean left or right. And
no, but you agree with me, Matt, that it's good that Thiel is not supporting Trump, or not actively supporting Trump for 2024.
To be very frank, I think he could support whoever the hell he wants.
No, yeah, obviously. But outwardly speaking at the RNC in 2024, I think every Palantir shareholder should be like, please don't. Forget your political beliefs. That is not going to look good for Palantir. Just like if he supported Biden, that's not good for us either. I mean, like, it's not good to be so outwardly.
To be very frank, you know, I think for the stock, it would probably be better if he supported Biden.
You think for the stock it would be? Oh, I mean,
that's why half of these corporations perform this. Dude. There's so much performance. There's political theater, and some people buy it. You know what? Most people buy into it. You know this. I'll give you an example. You have this. You know what? I'm like borderline about to get canceled for being a Republican because I saw the comments.
We all knew you were a Republican, Chris. It's not that hard.
I know. No. And to be honest, though, I used to be a Democrat. When it came, I was harder Democrat than I was ever Republican. I'm like more in the middle Republican than ever. Like when I was much younger, I was very idealistic. I thought the Republicans were fucking evil. They're demons. Like they don't give a shit about anything. All they want to do is give the money to the wealthy and tax the poor. Like I was indoctrinated into that thing. But as I got older, I started to see the consequences of one bad economic policy that ended up really badly for me and my family, right? Because that's what happens. You know, eventually these things are going to affect you. So that, as an example, the older you get, the more money you make. When you make more money, your taxes, you're going to pay way more in taxes. So when they say tax the rich and you're rich, you're like, hold on a second. I don't know if this tax the rich thing is okay. It's easy to say tax the rich when you don't have money. It's really hard to say it when you actually do have money. So
yeah,
Chris was actually canceled after showing Slootman's video. That's fine.
But I think every Palantir shareholder should be happy of this decision by Thiel because he knows this stuff, bro. He knows the stock is in the gutter. It might still be in the gutter for 18 months. And he does not, especially corporate America. Like imagine trying to sell to a liberal C-suite executive. And then you've got the co-founder outwardly supporting Trump and they associate Trump with evil. Like that's just a hard sales decision to make. Like I don't even know Slootman's politics. That's how, you know,
while it might be better for the stock, I don't think that that's why Thiel's doing it.
I think that's exactly why Thiel's doing it.
I don't think it's why Thiel's doing it.
I don't remember Palantir wasn't public in 2016 when he supported Trump, and he didn't want them to be public. They rushed going public in 2020 because the market opportunity was there because of COVID. But they were a private company. They didn't have to deal about all this political backlash. I think he realized, like, yes, he doesn't want them to focus on hot cultural issues. He wants them to focus on economic issues. But at the end of the day, I also think he doesn't want Palantir, which could be $1 trillion company one day, to be associated with in such a political way, right? Like if you're the CEO of YouTube, yeah, you can support all this transgender stuff because all those people will make content on your platform and it's an inclusive environment, all this stuff. But because that's YouTube's content, it's fun. TikTok, when you're a B2B business enterprise, you're building software for the military. You don't want to have the Trump stuff associated with you, I think.
Well, the question here is how much Peter Thiel actually cares of Palantir. Is it an active investment? So we need to take it to 1 trillion, or it is more, okay, I put the capital, I let it grow however it goes. What do you think, guys?
He's the only one that hasn't sold. Karp is sold, Sham is sold, Stephen Cohen's sold.
I think Thiel sold a little bit at $20 or something like that.
I don't know. I don't think he did.
Can we check on Quiz? Can we check last time?
Check. I don't think Peter Thiel. Maybe he sold some during the IPO, but I don't think Peter Thiel has sold a single share Palantir.
Might be right about this.
Does he need to sell for SBC, or actually Peter Thiel receives SBC? Now I don't remember.
I mean, he might receive stock as part of
his president, right?
Yeah.
No, he's not the president. Stephen Cohen is the president. He might be chairman, but let me see what the board of directors.
Or isn't it the same? In Italian, is the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so interesting because Thiel never talks about Palantir, so we're kind of confused. Like, does he really love this thing? Does he still see it going to the moon? I think.
Well, I think, how do I put this? I think the hardest transition of, like, it might have been Thiel's brainchild, but I think one of the hardest transitions, and I think that's why I think it was prudent to put Karp kind of as the leader of it, is while I think it was Thiel's brainchild, he had somebody like Karp execute it. And I think that's part of the hardest part of the transition, is going from the number one founder to, say, a follow-on legacy. Now, I don't think that, still you could consider Karp a founder. I still think he is, but I think he was kind of a secondary founder rather than the true founder. I think the real founder, in my opinion, was probably Thiel. But I mean, they all kind of executed the vision together. But at the end of the day, I think having that step back, it was like when Larry and Sergey stepped away from Google, right? It was a very tough transition in the mid 2000s because of that. And, they had to go back and forth, for quite some time before it truly was able to kind of take off. Right. So I think, and just like Jassie's having right now, like, I think he's done a phenomenal job at Amazon, but I think you're always going to have people that are afraid and skeptical of that initial transition.
So just for everyone's info real quick, Chris, last time Peter Thiel sold was August 2021. And guess how much he sold? 3,000 shares. He has not sold more than 3,000 shares since 2021. So that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So does this means also that Peter Thiel is not increasing shares?
He's not buying either, yeah.
No, but if he received stocks from SBC, we would have seen some selling there, right?
Yes, that's true.
Well, he's not executive, right? He's not an executive person. So he's probably getting compensation, cash compensation,
yeah.
But he's not getting stock. Like, executive management typically gets stock. Board of directors, sometimes they can do shares, but most of the time it's just cash.